Welcome to A Comic a Day, and this month we are celebrating the birth month of my favorite comic book company, Aftershock Comics. They turned 2 this year, and my god has it been an absolutely brilliant 2 years since. But you'll see what I mean this month. As always, links to buy these comics are in the description, and become a patron to help support the Comic Archivist family of channels. Warning, massive spoilers are massive this month. On with the show. Dreaming Eagles number 3, Vesuvius. Benjamin O. Davis ran the 99th, and by God, Reggie can't remember ever seeing him smile. Before Tuskegee, he was the only black officer in the Army Air Force and the only black cadet in his class at West Point, and they isolated the hell out of him. 4 years and barely a word spoken to him by his peers. Reggie brought up that the damnedest thing was that Davis wasn't a very good pilot, but he was the best leader for the job. He was the leader they needed in more ways than they ever imagined. Because the head jackass of the 33rd, when the 99th got unbolted from their squad, sent a report stating that the 99th was of absolutely no use to the Corps, which basically said what you think it'd say. They couldn't do anything right, only attacked undefended targets, couldn't fly in bad weather. You know, standard bullshit. But Davis, as the leader, went to the Congressional Committee about the report and the 99th and laid it all out, pointing that none of it was true and that the 99th was put upon more, not in a racial way, but by using the documents and mission orders and requests to go, this is what we do, this is what you make us do, far more than anyone else in the Corps. That, coupled with someone bringing up that the president would not like this nonsense, really helped them along. The colonel who wrote the report against the 99th was a damn good pilot and was even still in the Air Force, now a general. But he couldn't look past his bigotry and stupidity to use the 99th to the best of their ability. Reggie brought up that black men have fought in the Civil War, the Plains Wars, even World War I, but every time the shooting stopped, they would just slip back to where they started. The U.S. would always have to continue learning the same lessons over and over. So the 99th are then attached to the 79th, and they do a lot better with them. By that point, it was the winter of 1943, and while Italy surrendered after the invasion, the Germans most certainly held on. However, Reggie tells Fats he'd rather be dealing with the 109s again and stop with the bombing runs, since the ground attacks were just something he disliked. But they stopped talking as a man in glasses they've noticed around camp is being driven off base. They have no idea who he is, but he's been coming and going as he pleases and been to briefings, so he must be important brass. Then old Reggie narrates how Earl Bates would allow the 99th not only to fly with his squadron, but even allow them to mix with his own men and even take point sometime. As for the mystery man, well, we'll get to him later. Lee interrupts to say that he needs to go to the bathroom, but Reggie says that he was about to tell him about his first kill, so Lee says that he can hold it. In January 1944, U.S. forces made a push to try and take Rome, Italy, but they could not get past the beachhead of Anzio. The Army Air Corps would patrol around the clock to keep Kraut air support away, and when it was Reggie and Fat's turn for patrol, Fat saw the enemy first, 190s, which were hell-given wings. But the 99th had the height advantage, and that's when Reggie got his first kill. Tore the plane apart with his fire. Yet while Reggie was good, he was never good at leading targets. Not like Fats was. He was an artist at it. That day they put in 7 claims of targets down, with Fats and Reggie at least getting 1 apiece. They showed that they were competent, and there was no going back from that. Lee asked if he had thought of the man he shot down, but not on that day. There were times later to look back and philosophize, but while on that day, they were in the thick of it, and he knew that he was doing what he was there to do. Later on, Reggie and Fats are playing cards with some white boys who actually don't have a problem with them. And they're just talking about even though they did just prove that they could handle the dogfights, they're back on ground attacks. But the following month, something happened that made Reggie feel even smaller. Besides flying around the active Vesuvius at the time, which is billowing smoke and all that, the 99th was being pulled from the 79th and being placed with the 332nd Fighter Group, the other black squad from Tuskegee. They're now no longer flying with any white boys, and it's just one group of black people. That may have made Reggie a bit pissed, because it showed a lot of segregation, but Davis is telling them that they'll begin their conversion training when they reach Ramatelli. And that was the one time that Reggie did remember Davis smiling, because apparently he got them something pretty special from Washington if they had to do conversion training for new planes. But that's the end of the issue. I'm honestly not sure if there's anything I could say on this issue. I know I should comment on the fact that we get a lot more info, both about Reggie and about the war in general, but that's almost what this issue comes off as. That is, however, where my format of an issue a day can fail sometimes, especially with a book like this. Not every issue is going to have giant talking points or something additional to add. What we do get in this issue is a very abridged history of Benjamin Davis Jr., though no one brings up the junior part, and Reggie's first kill. Though frankly, and I am just saying this from a strictly issue-by-issue read, unless reading this in a trade form, there is a bit of a we get it sort of mindset you get into while reading it. Now I said this is a hard, happy medium to have. Since I read and talk about one comic a day, it's a wash between sometimes a series works best when spaced out month to month like how it releases, or in trade form when you get just sit down and binge read all of it. Like this, I'd probably have more to say if I had to wait a full month to see the continued ramblings of Papa Reggie, or were I just talking about this in a trade form. I'd be able to just say that it continues the explanation of a time as an airman and how it's all building a fantastic narrative with historical information. But since I have breaks in reading between issues, it becomes a matter of there is an easy means of fatigue. So by no means am I saying that this is a negative to the book, but there's just no more for me to say without just becoming History Buff's channel. By the way, go watch History Buffs, they're awesome. So now that we've reached the front line, what twist shall this historical war ramble take? Well, come back tomorrow and we will find out together. Don't forget to like and share this video around and subscribe to my channel. Check out my other two channels, Comic Archivist and ComicSins. Become a patron to get to choose the next comic we do for Comic a Day or ComicSins. And as always, stay golden, Inklings.
Watch the skyways or the land and the sea are ready to fly.